let's go through to the medium works tender. So this is really just the tender docs, what you have to respond to in the tender. Just going to download that. Okay, so these are the tender documents. It'll give you, obviously that's the table of contents and tells you everything what's in the tender. So that just go back up to the tender schedules. So between tender schedules A and N, you've got all the returnable schedules that you need to complete. This is not the only returnables. You may, in the tender particulars, as you can see there, part 2, there might be additional elements. You must check the tender particulars on page 37 of this document. You should go through the whole tender docs to make sure that you're familiar with it, especially the first couple of tenders that you've done, so you understand everything. There'll be some issues about, actually, this is one of the key things you must read, tender particulars. Industry brief, clause 2.3, you need to identify when the industry brief is going to be conducted. It says 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. Date on the 11th of May. And generally, well, this one's actually going to be on site, but generally during COVID, they've been doing a lot on Teams. Now, you will have to send details of your attendees to the PMCA, which is on the AusTender website, and they will give you details of who to send. Generally, you have to send your full name, email, address, phone number, and company name for the 3 participants. Okay, then you've got some other details, which we'll just flick through at this stage. So maximum number of files, you've got to make sure that when you upload the 30 megabytes per upload. So if you've got more, it's a huge tender, you need to break it down into separate PDFs. 2 issues in terms of tendering with defence. I tell all my clients, if the tender is in over 5 million, you'll need a workplace relations management plan, and a workplace relations management plan is required if the price is 5 million, including GST above. If it's not, then it can be below. Now, if the tender price is in excess of 4 million, you also have to be Federal Safety Commissioner compliant and also National Code compliant 2016. If you're not, stick to projects under 4 million with the Commonwealth. If you want to do bigger, then you have to go through that process, through those departments to get those Federal Safety Commissioner and National Code compliance. They also ask if additional plans are required, local industry capability, whether you're Indigenous procurement policy, sometimes you need to submit plans, or how you're going to apply and be compliant with the Commonwealth Indigenous procurement policy, which is generally 4% of turnover or personnel. Statement tax record, if it's over the 4 million, including GST. Key people, this is critical. Now, a lot of clients may not have a contractor's rep, a design manager, project manager. I've worked with a lot of clients who call the contractor rep something else. It might be the general manager, the design manager might be engineering manager, the project manager might be project leader, for example. But for defence, make sure when you name these people and give them a title, use the defence terminology for these people. Otherwise, it'll come back in the debrief and will detract from your technical score. Next one is the outline project plans. In Schedule B, generally, is they tell you what project plans you need, but on this one, you need a site management plan, commissioning and HOTO, which is handover takeover management plan, COVID-19 and environmental management plan, but they're generally the standard plans that you need to submit. Prelim design solution, they'll give you some detail on that, format PDF, and imported items. Your contract price should be in a separate PDF when you submit. Okay, we'll just go down to tender statutory declaration is just a standard defence declaration that your GM or Managing Director or CEO needs to sign. Then you go on to Schedule A, which is generally resourcing. Going through. Okay, so this one's workload, proposed resources. Basically, you have to tell Defence what your current workload, what projects you've got on, what projects you are preparing for in terms of expecting to hit the market, and complete every box. Next, section 2 is proposed resources. Now you need to make sure, and sometimes they don't do this, that the key resources, as we said here, contractors rep, design manager, project manager, are the same as what's in the contract, the tender particulars. Sometimes there are errors, and it's an opportunity for defence to pull you down because you haven't read the tender stock correctly. And we'll go down on tender schedule A. Subcontractors and material suppliers, another form and table. You need to fill out every box. Don't leave any boxes empty. Task and appreciation, sometimes called DCAP, detailed contractors or consultants activity proposal. This one, Schedule B, is task appreciation and methodology. These questions all need to be answered in great detail. So number 1, you have to answer the question. 2, relate how your company has delivered this in the past, and also how your people have done this into the past, and link it all so that you've got relevant experience and people experience, and answer each of those questions. A lot of these questions can be covered in the management plans, and you can cross-reference to the management plans rather than doing War and Peace answering those questions. Tender Schedule C, previous experience. As it says here, you need to pick 5 projects that Karen completed within 12 months, which is a very short period, and no later than 24 months prior to the ATM date and ATM close time. So basically, this does include defects liability period, and you have to fill your previous projects in the last 24 months, what you've completed that are similar to this refurbishment job that you're tendering for. Then the next section, no more than 3 projects with final contract value between 700 and 2 million. So that's basically the same as the above, but within that contract value. Schedule D is the program. It gives you all the details in terms of how you submit the program. Generally, they ask for Microsoft Project. If you only use a different type of software, then you can request an RFI to the PMCA requesting to use P6 or any other program software that you use in your company. Security insurance details, they are very basic. You've got to tick and flick those, and security questions. Tender Schedule F, miscellaneous contract particulars, you just fill those out as required. Tender commercial and confidence information. My clients always ask me, what do we put into this? Don't put anything, especially if it's construction. Then I don't know actually any time any of my clients or previous employers have asked for commercial and confidence. Defence will issue the winner's contract price on AusTender. They won't communicate the losing tenderer's prices. Information security, there's a questionnaire. If you do have problems with this, BOUW can help you answer some of these, but basically it's got to do with cybersecurity. Lots of ticks and flicks and a couple of explanations. Local industry capability plan, if required. It's not required on this one as per the tender particulars. Indigenous procurement policy, you either put your plan in or how you're going to apply to the IPP. The building code, you need to comply with the building code if it's over $4 million. If it's not, you're not required. Just skipping through the rest of it. Tender Schedule L, statement of tax record. As soon as you get the tender, you need to get your finance people to get this statement of tax record, because it can take up to 5 days to get off your accountant or your financial department. We'll move on. Turn to Schedule M. Your contract price, complete the price as it is requested as per the line items. And turn to Schedule N, alternative proposals, design documents. So here they've asked for design documents and alternative proposals. If you submit an alternative proposal, then it should be a standalone. So basically it should be a separate document and it will be evaluated separately to the rest of the submission. Then we go back. There's a copy of the Medium Works contract. We won't go through that. And then the confidentiality agreement. Generally, you'll have to complete that, send it to the PMCA, and the PMCA will send you the drawings or any other project documents that may be sensitive in nature.